Hello, 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 all. Can you all hear me? Am I audible? My fan is on in the distance, but, we can deal with that. Yeah, okay. Let me see if I can add my current USB microphone. I don't think I can. No, I can't. Okay. Well, hello, Super Dark. Hello, welcome. I am back for real. After last week, I went back to Houston. And, that was a whole thing. But I'm back, and we're here to read more of the shitty Queen fanfiction. Oh, and also, I think I figured out what the deal was with the webcam. So, that's hopefully fixed as well. Hopefully it won't go all shite on me. I know I look like shit right now, but it is what it is what it is. I'm wearing my Dumois hoodie. I don't think you can see that. I got the... Follow me on Instagram, you would know this shit. But I got the, Jesus. The Malibu version. My skin is showing. Yeah, it's the Malibu version. That's literally, like, the most exciting thing that has happened to me this week that I can, like, talk about. Because other than that, it's just been editing, and I started redoing my edits on the Bond script yesterday. So that's a whole thing. But I'm here. I'm queer. I had delicious salmon last week for my dad's birthday dinner. I got to see my family again, got to see some family friends again, and that was amazing. I really do miss Houston, but I live here for work. Gonna move this shit out of the way so there's nothing too distracting. And now we can read. Okay, here we go. Birdman's Eye view, which means it's another John Deacon chapter. It's alive! I'm assuming John is going to fix the relic, quote-unquote, in this, the Nokia phone that Julia got. Drinking weak old, cheap wine, but, gets the job done. Shit! This I mutter under my breath. I'm feeling more than a little pessimistic as I look at the little golden chip. It's all cleaned off now because, my son ate it. And dry, but still hardly in fair shape. The scratches and teeth marks are still there. It looks like someone put it under an army tank and drove it back and forth over it a couple times. I feel like if that happened, that thing would have disintegrated. But I don't know. I don't know tanks. Of all the things my kid had to swallow, he chose this. Better cheap wine than glorified vinegar. That is true. Also, I feel like if you swallow that kind of metal, that fucks up your insides. It's not like eating a piece of plastic where it can't really, cut you inside. That thing's metal. Metal can be pretty sharp. I cut my thumb yesterday while cutting apples. But Flower, don't you have an apple slicer? Yes, I do, but it doesn't account for uneven apples. It has to be perfectly round for it to work properly, so sometimes you'll get, the seeds in a slice, and you have to slice them out. Anyway, pardon the clunky disposition. I've been in a rather poor mood since this morning. Oh boy, I love sudden meta commentary in a book that doesn't need meta commentary. It's amazing. Ouch. It's fine. It was just a minor nick. I'll be fine. Freddie didn't come in the studio at all today because, he's getting eloped with Julia. So it was just us three. Brian, Roger, and myself, in case you forgot who Queen was. Since Brian, the bossy boots, oh, did I say that out loud? I'm terribly sorry, is basically the top banana when Freddie was absent. You can go further than bossy boots, John. This is a safe space. For example, I can call him an absolute cunt. And no one will judge me. We wound up doing mostly what he wanted to do. Cheat on his wife. And then cheat on his mistress. With his secretary. And have some really weird relations with female talent. Like, I'm sure nothing's really going on, but, like, it's just weird. It's actually funny that different POV characters the exact same meta commentary that MCU framed as Rain in a journal does. Oh my god, you are so right. You are so right, Super Dark. Like, oh my god. You can tell that Sally J. 4's only frame of reference is herself. Which, it's fine to have yourself as a frame of reference, but, like, if you're writing about different characters, especially ones that existed, you need to have perspectives aside from your own. Like, for real, bitch. Roger, of course, sounded his usual protests about the speed of the songs. Brian tends to slow the songs down, while Roger prefers to speed them up. It's a constant uphill battle between these two, even though they're so obviously thick as thieves. I don't give a shit. I didn't fucking ask, John. Just get to the fucking point. But Brian generally got his way because he's a prissy bitch. We didn't really accomplish much, though. Brian's very cerebral, thinks things through too much. He's painstakingly thorough with his songs. Ah, yes. I can imagine all of the intense symbolism in the song We Will Rock You. I can imagine how much thought he put into... What else did he fucking write? It's been so long, and I have thankfully forgotten a lot of it. He wrote a song about cheating on his wife with an actress who appeared in a soap opera. Like, it wasn't explicitly about that, but it was definitely about that. It's not bad to use yourself as frame of reference as long as you're not a shallow and curious conservative weirdo. Do you think because she's so closed-minded, she can only see other people, especially those she admires, as herself? Do you think she's that repressed? Vote now on your phones. So we actually did mostly technical things today, like expanding the stomps we recorded for We Will Rock You, Brian using some heady physics formula to decide how many times we got to overlay the man-made thunder and get a convincing arena sound to it. I don't give a shit, John. Just tell it to me fix the phone or not! 100%, yeah. We didn't... Oh, yeah. Whether we like to admit it or not, there are really two central minds of this band, Freddy and Brian, unfortunately. And several times it's happened that we wind up breaking down to two teams, Brian and Roger versus Freddy and myself. And these two minds couldn't be any more different, especially in the way they work. Freddy's very much a perfectionist in his own right, but he moves quickly so as to not lose interest in the song, which happens very fast, trust me. Either as herself or as cardboard cutouts of things she sees as virtue or acceptable flaw. Acceptable flaw includes deviating from the straight path. If you catch my drift there, gamers. Wow! But don't understand, Roger and I are not yes men. None of us are. I really don't give a shit about this, John. John, I really don't give a shit about this, John. Just tell me if you fixed the goddamn phone or not. None of us are. Typically, meaning about 75% of the time, all four of our voices ring equally loud, and we all fight tooth and nail when it means something to us as individual people. I lean back in my chair and stretch my arms out behind me. I've been dwelling on this project of mine all day. I wish Freddy had come in even for just the last hour. I love how, like, he didn't even, like, tell them, like, saying, hey, I'm fucking off to New York with Eve. But, like, we know it's so Freddy can get out of a bet with Roger and, like, you know, loose lips sink ships. And they would certainly sink Sally J. Forrest's ships with herself. According to Roger, he had some kind of errand to run today. I don't know what kind of errand. Takes all day to run. If you ask me, Freddy didn't have any, quote, errands to run at all. I think both he and Eve simply took a while getting over last night, if you know what I mean. No, let me try that again. I can't. My mind wanders back to last night's going on. From that almost fist fight at the heat wave to the tender, unguarded moment between Flaccid Freddy and his strung out, quote, stray kitten. Loose lip chips and baby, I'm about to drown the fleet. Goals! What a funny thing to call someone. Stray kitten. But somehow it does suit her. No. Kitten has very different connotations now. No. There was something happening. I had seen the looks in their eyes. Only a blind fool could have overlooked it. It seemed real to me. Not that I'm any expert, but there was a feeling, an aura that vaguely reminded me of the way Freddy used to look at Mary whenever the rest of the Queen came over to their old one-room flat, or when she would on occasion drop by the studio to visit us. Was that only a couple years ago? My God, so much has Oh, no. Is Sally J. Ford just about to, like, list all the virtuous traits her OC Mary No, not Mary Sue. I'm working to try and not say Mary Sue. Because that has... Eve is this little Discord kitten. Yes, exactly. Let me try that again. She is going to flex about her beloved OC based on herself. Don't steal Julia Samuels. But Eve / Julia, it's so different from Mary, I realize. True, they're both sweet with gentle smiles and soft low voices, but Eve isn't as calm, nor is she quite as accommodating. Not that that's a bad thing, necessarily. I don't suppose that accommodating is even really the proper word. Eve just doesn't take any crap. Well, she certainly did take some crap last night! And by crap, I mean cocaine. Like, Eve is such a naive person. Like, imagine thinking they would just have sugar lying around in a nightclub in the 70s. Like, that was obviously coke. Like, I still, like, vividly remember reading that and just thinking, yep, that's coke. And then it turned out it was coke. Of course, that's the difference. Eve bites back. She calls his bluff. I don't know the extent of Freddy and Mary's relationship, but all I know is what I happened to see in passing. But I'm fairly sure Mary put up with some interesting stuff, and likely still does. Eve isn't the kind to tolerate even a fraction of it. I wonder if this challenge is what draws Freddy to Eve, or acts as a buffer between them. Oh, so they're basically Bond and Vesper, except Bond and Vesper were two genuinely interesting characters who actually had fucking chemistry, and there was no washing away the LGBT-ness. Ah, jeez. The whole Bond project has just poisoned my brain. I shrug to myself and rub my eyes. Veronica walks in and puts her arms around me from behind. She puts them on my behind. Why don't you leave this for tonight? You just got home and it's late, she whispers. I just have to put this damn thing back together, I tell her. I'll see if it works tomorrow morning. Veronica nods and massages my shoulders. Quoi? How are you going to do that? Person who read and watched only James Bond for the last few months' voice. This dynamic really reminds me of James Bond. Oh, God. Like, having... When I watched, 25 of the films over the span of a month, I think that permanently altered my brain chemistry to just where I could, relay almost anything to, a James Bond reference. I think Brian May, at the time Spectre was released, expressed some degree of salt that Queen never did a Bond song. Actually, let me find out, because I'm pretty sure this happened. Found it! Years ago. Yeah, you didn't deserve it. Get fucked, cunt face. Where was I? Veronica massages my shoulders. Yeah. How are you going to do that? Miffed. How are British people real? I don't know. I don't have the first clue. Can I get you anything? The hair of the dog that bit me. Do y'all know what that means? No, I know what it means, but that's a very, English thing. Do y'all know, what putting the hair of the dog that bit you is? Because if not, I'll explain it. She laughs. Beer or gin? Whatever's colder. That'll be beer. Just a moment. She disappears into the kitchen. I sigh and look back down at this mess Freddy called the relic. Poor Robert. He didn't know any better. The little nipper. Scarcely too. How could he? Veronica sets the bottle of beer down on the desk. With a hearty swig, I breathed deeply and began rebuilding. The monster. Ooh. I slide the chip into a little slot, fit the big square battery over it. The screen is still cracked. I think I heard it a few times, but I never dug into it. Okay, so there's an old wives' tale that, and this does not work. Do not try this at home. That if a dog bites you, you're supposed to put the hair of the dog on the wound and it's supposed to heal faster or you don't get rabies or some shit. So, the way it's used now is that if you are hungover, you should drink a drink that you drunk the night before and you will recover faster. Or just drink alcohol in general. I don't 100% remember. Don't do that. That's not how it works and will probably make the problem worse. Screen is still cracked, but there's little I could do about that. I can't exactly go find a replacement since, screens didn't exist yet. The case pieces are split right in half and soldered together, so as I snap things more and more into place, it winds up looking like a miniature Frankenstein's creature, Frankenstein's monster, check your privilege, complete with stitches. Ah, an eye for an eye, applied for health. Yeah, pretty much. And James Bond probably does that. That was forced. Before too long, the device is reassembled, and it sits there in front of me. The cover is over the keypad. It's a sliding thing that pops down if you push a button on the side, a feature which startled me the first time I did it. The word Nokia is the only part I find anywhere familiar. Before now, I was pretty sure it was some kind of phone. The keypad gave that much away. But it's so small, and there's no cord, yet it is Eve's, quote, passport, Freddy said. How the hell is this supposed to work? How am I supposed to use these old-fangled new telephones without the cords? And, their little antennas. My parents didn't even, use Nokia phones, from what I remember. My dad had a pager in the 90s and early 2000s, mostly because of work. But yeah, he had a whole pager and shit. God, that was 20 years ago. Damn. If he had any ideas for actually dealing with his own problems that don't involve manlying through them, he would retire. So many buttons, so little explanation as about what they're for. Just to do it, I press the green button. To load the screen, nothing happens. To the antenna is another little circle, a red one with a line down its middle. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be the power button. I press it and absently hold it down while I look up, finally noticing the heavenly aroma coming from the kitchen. Your mom had one of the first cell phones back in the 90s. That's interesting, Super Dark. Because, I remember my dad, and I think my mom as well, had Blackberry phones. And, this was, before, smartphones, as we know them today, were ubiquitous, the ultimate, status symbol phones were, from my understanding, the Motorola Razr, or a Blackberry, or any phone with a keypad on it. And my parents had Blackberries. I'm pretty sure, any, child listening into this is just so confused right now. What's for dinner, love, I call. It's a surprise, she calls back, but it's a hint. It's neither cheese nor toast. Very funny. The joke is that John Deacon's favorite food is cheese and toast. On toast. Blackberries had those silly... They did. But, people left that shit up. People loved that shit. People loved silly Blackberry keyboards. But if you were, and I'm just saying this not just for the people viewing, but the people who are just gonna look at this archive later and laugh at me for going on so many fucking tangents. But if you grew up, if you, were a tween by, the middle-late 2010s, I was, there's, a 90% chance you owned a phone with a keyboard on it at some point. And I'm counting smartphones in that. I remember being 10 or so, and absolutely fucking stoked that I got a phone with a keyboard on it. Like, that was the top shit. You were... Although, I think the status symbol at that time was if you had an iPod Touch. Which, of course, they've discontinued now. But, Wait, where was I? Oh, yeah, cheese on toast. Very funny. I get up from the desk and pick up my boy. I'm just about to check on Robert when I see the screen has changed. I peer closer. Above the repeated word Nokia, the black fuzzy image of a large hand reaching out to a smaller child's hand. I literally have no idea what the fucking Nokia phone startup looks like. So, this better be perfect. Reminiscent of the Sistine Chapel painting by Michelangelo is now spread across the green background. I sit back down, heart racing. It's on, I say incredulously. It's working. The hands vanish and a blank screen appears, the bar rising 2/3 of the way up on one side. No signal is the message across the screen top. It's working. Really working. Robert didn't kill it! This thing is indestructible. I put my hands in the air and cry, woohoo! Funny story about that. The mom of one of my high school friends ripped a Nokia smartphone in half. I will not elaborate on that. What's that the hullabaloo Veronica calls? It's alive, I cried, doing a very bad young Frankenstein impression. I sound much more like Marty Feldman, whoever the fuck that is, than I do Gene Wilder, rest in peace. It's alive. Then the screen goes blank again. What? No, come back! Oh dear, I say to myself. I hold in my hands and push a random button. The screen graphics return. I suppose the thing was just saving power. I breathe a sigh of relief. Veronica walks over. I assume it's working? I nod enthusiastically. It's working all right. God knows what it's meant for, but I think it's doing it. Nokia phones are sturdy, but not as indestructible as mean to be. True. Robert toddles over, seeing me step away from the desk. He raises his little arms, and I hoist him up onto my hip and toss all his hair. Dinner's just about ready, Veronica says with a smile. Hear that? We're about to eat. Let's go help Mom, I tell the little boy in my arms. We know it's your fucking son, you fucking cunt. He's eyeing the bottle of beer in my other hand. He reaches out for it. No, sweetheart, too young, Veronica tells him. I don't know, Ron. He's getting so big, he'll be driving in about a month. Veronica rolls her eyes. Not even 2, and you want to teach him to drink and drive. This counts as humor in conservative culture. Boys got to learn sometime, but this stuff may be too much. Let's make his a light. Oh, you, she laughs. With a contented little squeal, Robert reaches over my shoulder. What, Robbie? What do you see? Candy. Candy is his word for anything he likes and wants to put in his mouth. I follow his pointing finger. He's looking at his desk. He wants the relic. I shake my head. Oh, no, you don't. We're not going through all that again, I laugh. This might work out all right after all, thank God. It's about 1 a.m. in the morning, so we've time skipped, and everyone is asleep. But my eyes won't close and stay. Something is keeping me awake tonight, and I can't put my finger on it. I tried calling Freddie's apartment to share the good news, but it was Mary who answered. She was checking in on the cats one last time before turning in. I just caught her before she walked out the door. I'd love to take a message and forward it, she had said, except I don't know where he's gone. Didn't he say? Not really, just that he's out of the country. Mary wouldn't tell me any more, and I didn't push. But I still wonder where he went. He clearly took Eve along. I chuckled to myself. Maybe they confessed their love to each other this morning, and in a fit of unbridled and incoherent passion, ran off in a limp to Vegas. You're not that far off, John. Ha, Freddy, married, not likely. Suddenly I hear something odd in the study where my desk is. I rise from my wife's side and turn on my dressing gown. As I leave the messroom, the sound becomes clear. It's a tinny, high-pitched whine, little popcorn nose slapping through the air. The Nokia ringtone. The synthesizer melody was coming from the relic. I walk over, squinting wearily at the thing. I reach down to pick it up, accidentally squeezing the side button in the process. The relic pops open. but the music still plays. On the screen it tells me incoming call T-Rod HQ. I'm uncertain of what to do. I just want the music to stop. It's that bothersome. I push the big green button again and it stops. I smile and decide maybe turn off the device so we can all get some sleep tonight. But now there's a crackling, slow voice. Hello? Hello? It is some kind of phone. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's not even a James Bond scene I can relate this to. I lift it to my ear, then frowning break to ask what this is all about. Hello, I begin. Jay, it's Kay, announces the cautious but still excited voice on the other end. Behind him, some 20 other voices shout triumph. Someone else says, a little further out of earshot, we're starting to lose hope. How are you holding up over there? What, I ask? Julia, is that you? The one called Kay says after a long pause. Julia? Who's Julia? I ask myself. May I ask who's just rung me here? Oh, says the halting American Kay. You're not Julia. No, my name is John. John Deacon. Who are you? John Deacon? Second voice gasps. The bass player? Yeah, that's me. God, this is so uncomfortable. The poor Kay clearly doesn't know how to deal with this. Well, this is unexpected. The other voice takes over. How did you get a hold of this phone? What, was I not supposed to? Where's Julia? He demands. Who's Julia? This phone belongs to a girl named Eve. Eve, Kay says? What does she look like? I don't know, brown hair, hazel eyes, 5'5". Is she kind of quiet? Sigh? No, not really. What's her full name? Kay began. Julia Samuel. Shut, Steve, the second voice barks. We can't give away anything. Samuels. I immediately think back a couple days. Yes, there in front of the library. That's what she had accidentally said her last name was before correcting herself and telling me it was Dubrock. I know, Miss Samuels, I declare. Before hushing again, whispering. Now who the fuck are you people? None of your business. Just tell Julia. You're cutting out. Who is she? What's she here for? We'll call tomorrow for she's at the home. What? I'm not doing anything at the store until you tell me what this is all about. And then the line went dead. I sat down on the relic, but I'm still staring at it, waiting for it to go off again. They said they'd call tomorrow. I don't doubt them. Very slowly, I sit back down behind my desk. I'm not really sure what just happened. Julia Samuels. So that's her real name. A pretty name, but that's not important right now. What does matter is the chorus of voices on the other end. She needs to come home, I believe they try to say. Where was home, Julia? She would never say, honestly. And what was this thing I held, this otherworldly relic? This relic of Michelangelo hands as the first thing you saw on your screen. I had laughed when Freddie told me that he thought what Eve was. I had laughed when she said she was psychic. No, not psychic, but perhaps something else. Her arrival here was no accident. Peppering the rifle like Swears is like sneaking in a bottle of hot sauce at a white wedding. Yes. I will do that eventually. Her arrival here was no fucking accident. I knew that beyond a fucking doubt now. So what the fuck was she here for? Miss Julia, I say to myself, it seems you have a little explaining to do. At this point, I'll believe anything. Jesus Christ, that took way too long. How many chapters do we have? Are we like already halfway through this shit? Damn. Chapter 33. How does he do that? It was a strain keeping silent as we rode back up the escalator. Freddy's head was down, my sunglasses hiding his eyes, and a worn-looking baseball cap covering his hair, our lips sealed. I stood glued next to him, our hands tightly gripping each other's. We were doing anything to keep low profiles. We were surrounded by teenagers tittering to themselves about R2-D2 and Princess Leia, and 2 hours ago we had learned the hard way that a love of space fantasy is somehow correlated with a mad love for rock music like Queen. Whatever that means. Yeah. I think this is 90 chapters, and I'm reading this, I'm reading like 3 chapters at a time. Of course, by 90 chapters, we are counting the author's notes, and the Birdmans Eye views. And the concession stand of all places. Not even the ticket line, which wasn't too short since the show we were coming for started at 4:15. The line started really forming after we took our place. I didn't fucking ask you, Julia! But when we sat down, the moment I ordered a small popcorn for Freddy and a box of M&Ms for myself, we were caught. We received our treats, and Freddy made one fatal mistake. He opened his mouth and said, "Thank you very much." The voice, the accent, those teeth, we never had a chance. The cashier shouted, "Oh my god!" No, wait, no. "Oh my god! You're Freddie Mercury!" And that was it. People swarmed around him, begging for autographs and telling him in loud voices just how much they loved him. They were his biggest fans, and what the hell was Bohemian Rhapsody about anyway? Almost running, he and I ducked into the men's restroom. That includes Julia. And waited until a lock stall till the coast was clear. "You okay?" I asked. Freddie nodded, relatively unfazed. "That must happen a lot." "Sort of. It's just usually I'm not so vulnerable," he smiled, "and usually I like it. Not now, not today. No, I'm just a bloke who wants to have a nice little date with his lady." I smiled. "But I've been told even blokes want to be stars. Deep down, no exceptions." "You don't forget anything I said, do you?" We emerged a few months later, I'm slurring. We emerged a few minutes later, tiptoeing into the theater itself, and found 2 seats in the very back. The trailers are already running. We just missed the trailer of Orca the Killer Whale. "Ooh," Freddie whispered as Bo Derek, who was groomed, flashed up on the screen, and I rolled my eyes and sat through one for close to the counters of the third kind. "Richard Dreyfuss, my love," I sighed, which an afraid patronizing sticker from Freddy. "I don't give a shit about your stands, Julia. I don't give a shit. Just what are we even reading?" And The Goodbye Girl, which also starred Richard Dreyfuss. I know none of these movies. I sighed again and grinned like a fool. Freddy leaned over and hissed in my ear. "You think he's cute?" "Kind of." He winced. "Why?" he whispered. I didn't answer, and instead just smiled and shook my head. Freddy folded his arms and pouted, not too hard though, and for not too long, for Star Wars began immediately after. The song goes that Jaws, which curiously enough also stars Richard Dreyfuss. I don't give a shit about Richard Dreyfuss! Just give me the goddamn story! Was never seen, and he didn't like Star Wars. That wasn't the impression I got at all. I think the members of Queen said this in an interview. Whatever. I'm just like so dead inside. I don't give a shit anymore. As soon as the opening title music started rolling, which I had to listen to recently because James Bond, a little smile crossed Freddy's face and stayed there in varying degrees for 2 hours. Needless to say, he got a big kick out of Darth Vader. I want to know if it's just like that, he whispered, the cape and everything, and was tickled beyond words that Sir Alec Guinness played Obi-Wan. I literally have no attachment to anything Star Wars, so I have no idea what any of this is, like the weird nerds. All I know is that Star Wars resulted in Moonraker, which is a James Bond film. Researching celebrity trivia for myself insert fake to mean like, no, they would totally share my opinions. But he seemed most affected, not surprisingly, by the music. What a ripoff, he whispered. He did a lot of whispering throughout the film. There's Wagner written all over it. Can you tell? Oh, go fuck yourself! Now that he mentioned it, he was right. The opening titles themselves and the stuff with Joe Walker about them. Though I'd seen this film at least 200 times before. Go fuck yourself. I was now expecting large women with golden braids and Viking hats to come flying through on horseback alongside the X-Wings, and though the menacing Lord Vader was clearly his favorite character, Star Wars. Shocker. He cheered like everyone else when Luke used the Force and blew up the big mean Death Star. Just goes to show, I said to myself, even Freddie Mercury has a soft spot for good triumphing over evil, no matter how cliche is the struggle. We're only human, happy endings are the best. And they are the best. It's such a horrid shame that they aren't the norm. Yeah, well, you know the movies that didn't really end with happy endings? 4 of the past 5 James Bond films. As soon as written and directed by George Lucas popped up on the screen, we started getting ourselves ready to leave. I had to disguise him. The nerd herder, I mean young people in the audience, would be looking for him. Julia. Quick word of advice. If you're gonna pull this shit and try to, like, sneak out quietly, wait until everyone else fucking leaves. Like, that's just basic common sense, don't you think? So we found an old red ball cap embezzled with a bee, then I kicked under the seat and my on-round sunglasses I'd forgotten I'd had all this time. Freddy walked directly behind me, the brim pulled far over the shades, slinging my backpack over his shoulder, the bruise on his lip still quite prominent. I don't remember where that happened. I don't care enough to look. Took away from his habitual tightness in the mouth. Only someone specifically looking for Freddy in a crowd could have been able to spot him in this peculiar outfit. He blended quite nicely, I thought. We need to get you a purse or something, dear, he muttered into his ear. America's with the movie No Happy Ending. You're murdered than this old rat, I think. We boarded the escalator to reach street level. Lou's was an entirely underground one-screen theater. I didn't fucking ask. It looked like we were going to slip out a little more smoothly than we slip in. We said nothing, although I wanted to join the people around us in extolling the virtues of this brand new cultural phenomenon, and I wasn't even really a Star Wars fan. Then why'd you say you saw the movie like 200 fucking times? It sounded like in the introduction that you had, you know, no friends, and therefore you couldn't have a friend who was a Star Wars buff. Do you get what I'm fucking saying? But Freddy was wearing the wrong hat. As we rose to the top and we left the theater, the real trouble began. We had barely rounded the corner when some tough guy who looked like one of the Wayans brothers, don't know who that is, don't give a shit, rolled out to us. Oh man, you're still pulling for those red socks? No. I have to do this in the Boston accent. Peter. Hi, man. You still pulling for those Red Sox? No, that didn't work. He jeered. Too late, I realized what the bee meant. Oh dear, we were Boston Red Soxers and Yankee City. People take shit too seriously. Freddy altered and bit his lip, so ready for the juicy comeback, but he held it in. He smirked and kept walking, but now a tough guy and a small group of troublemaking hyenas were following us. What gonna die, you assholes, lay your size on? The guy said, this time with the chorus of years backing him up. As someone whose bias is with the Astros, I have, like, no connection to any of this shit. That's so, I heard him say. Better believe it, chalk ass. You're gonna feel pretty dumb wearing that hat for long. I don't even know. Freddy stopped and lifted his head. He was not about to let that slide. I couldn't see his eyes from the height of my sunglasses, but his mouth twitched and he saw through his nose. Hey, those guys have made a run for cover. So, he boomed at last, you don't like my hat, eh? It's the son of an ass hat loser, tough guy said. Yankees, they chanted. Apparently, there are no Mets stands as well. did the Mets even exist in, like, this time? Like, they had that song. Meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Yeah, no. Considering the context of the Meet the Mets song, they definitely existed during that time. Bring your kitties, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are gearing up the ball, knocking those home runs on the wall. Meet the Mets. Why do I know this? So, here are the things we have learned about me today. 1, I cannot go through anything without referencing James Bond. 2, my parents had Blackberries. And 3, I apparently know the lyrics to the New York Mets song. It's not always about the money Spider-Man's, but oh yeah, Spider-Man's a Mets fan! Forgot about that. Why do I know the Mets song? I don't even know the Astros song. Okay, where were I? Sports fanatics. There's a place for them. Has to be. Just kidding. These guys are just jerks. Don't get for trouble. And Freddy could have been wearing a suit and tie. They cheered his preppiness. I didn't fucking ask for your fucking commentary, Juliet. Just cut to the godforsaken chase. I could almost hear Freddy rolling his eyes. That would be way too easy. Very quietly then, though. Very suddenly, he transformed. And I know just the song for this! The Mets, bring your kitties, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really on the ball, knocking those home runs off the wall. Okay. Reaching away the sunglasses, Freddy revealed his face. The flat and untouchable expression of the showman, but his eyes were flashing as he reached forcefully into my backpack some black flap and grabbed a black pen. Hi, white, one of the mindless crews grasped. Aren't you that guy? That weird guy with the mama killed a man's guy. Freddy didn't answer. He was too busy scrolling his name across the brim of the hat, which he held up high over his head. Who wants a Nile? He cried. By now, most of them had recognized him, and their whole attitude changed. They rushed up at us, but not to attack. They only wanted to be closer to him, to say they'd been this close to a rock star. Well, I know the good rock song for this. Meet the Mets. Step right out and greet the Mets. Bring your kitties, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really sunk the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. And the two guys who were still lost simply followed their friends. No matter what the reason, every one of them wanted the autographed hat. In just 2 seconds, they were putty in his hands. Think flyest Darwin to the left he tossed. The cap sailed into the air and down the street. Like dogs after a stick, the goons stood on their heel and reflexively started for it. Freddy grabbed my hand in this split-second hesitation. With quiet authority, he commanded, "Run." I didn't know who got the hatch. We were long gone before it even hit the sidewalk. It was like something out of a movie, the two of us running hand in hand, laughing like winded morons, while people on the street dove out of our way for fear we might run them over. I ran out of steam well before he did. Freddie looked primed to meet, step right up and greet the Met. Bring your kitties, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really sunk the ball. Knocking those homers out of the wall. Okay, I gotta stop this. I think we've all learned something today. Thank God I've still got the old school stamina, he said, thumping his chest. I forced out a laugh. You're crazy. Yes, but you love it. I grinned and nodded. Yes, I guess I do. So we're two. Depends on how much is left. I checked my pockets. We got $2.54. That's buying. The tickets cost $1.50 each. That's how much did a movie ticket cost in 1977? I'm gonna put my phone down because if I look it up on there, I'm gonna play the Met song again. That would be cheaper because the average movie ticket in 1977 was about little over $2. Okay. But the food and drink doesn't. What time is it? Summertime, we're of a kind. We've gone so off track. Oh my God. This is like the worst episode. I don't know, you're the one with the magic mirror. It's in the bag and it's off. Fortunately, there was a clock across the street. Squinting against the sun's glare on the glass, I made out the time. 6:45, and we're supposed to be back at that front of that currency thing at 7, right? Freddie nodded, but he didn't look too enthused. I'm not standing around here and waiting for mother. What if they head over at 7 and don't see us here? They can come look for us. Oh, Freddy. Besides, I know French restaurants. They take their time. What's more, Sharon has a way of getting distracted. No tracks on this ghost train. Are you seriously going to make Peterson and Peter and everybody wait? They're your friends, I thought. They are. That's not the point. No, let's see. I haven't been over to Central Park in ages. You know, I want to go to New York at some point. Not to see this underground theater, not to go to Central Park again, because I went once when I was like 13 or some shit, but to be able to go to a baseball game and sing the Mets song. Freddie, we need to stick around, I insisted. Now that I had the money, I also had the power! How nicely that all works. It's the starship we need to think of as well. And what about Vegas? Oh, look who's sending I to get to sin Slady. I'm just saying. Hang on, Evie. Why don't we settle this like adults? How do we do that? Fist fights. And going to see Mets games. Let me see a nickel or something, if you please. Oh, they're just gonna flip a coin. So they flip, and I guess heads we stay, tails I follow you. I like how you put that, darling. Tails, I cried, and flipped a little brown circle. up and into the air. He caught it as it came crashing down and covered it with the sand. You said heads? I nodded. Freddie smiled and it covered the coin. We took a look. I'm going to bet you it's tails. It's gotta be tails. It's gonna be tails. It's gonna be tails. Hot town somewhere in the city. That's a good song. Do not blaspheme it with your surely conservative beliefs, Julia. I was thinking under my breath as Freddie and I hustled across the street. Thank God the sun was at least sinking behind the skyscrapers, the summer heat reflecting off the concrete jungle that was starting to get to me. As soon as we stepped into the oasis that is Central Park, called it! The air cooled. Through the trees, we could see the sky turning soft oranges and lavenders while the sun within it began to set. That's better, I sighed. I was getting fried. But deep down I was worried. It was at least 10 minutes past 7 by now, and I couldn't help believing that the others were out looking for us. I couldn't decide if Freddy was just having too much fun to stop, or just a naturally inconsiderate narcissist. Or both. But I had a feeling it was the third choice. I didn't fucking ask for your opinion. This is nothing, Freddie remarked. When I grew up, it was a hot year round, almost. No winter? Never saw snow till I moved to England. I thought Judgment Day had arrived, he joked. Weren't you raised? I don't know how to pronounce it. Weren't you raised that one religion that's not Christian? Or any of the Abrahamic religions at that? Moving on. I put my hands behind my back. Where are you from? I asked, as if I didn't have his birthplace hardwired into my memory because I'm a fucking creep. I mean, from where did you move to London? Freddie slid his arms around my shoulders as we walked. Gaius. New York City. So you could see Mets games. Or, Skyfall in Scotland. Scientology wasn't even invented yet, Super Dark. How do you pronounce it? I don't even know how to spell it. Zoroastrianism. I probably butchered that. I do gracefully apologize. Oh, nuts. I hate guessing. I'll give you 3. Go. Australia? Are you kidding? I guess so. New Zealand? Now you're getting colder. Here, I'll give you a hint. It's in Africa, you stupid bitch. It was getting harder to play dumb. But the name of his home island remained silent on his tongue. Instead, I said, South Africa? No, to give up? I nodded. He announced rather proudly. I thought, Zanzibar! I didn't even, remember that. So, nature is clearly healing in my mind. Which, is good for me. Yeah, Zoroastrianism. Thank you, Super Dark. My eyes widened with interest. Really? Well, my family was technically from India, I suppose, geographically speaking. My father worked in the royal court in Zanzibar when I came along. And I supported the Zanzibar Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Someone needs to make a compilation of this tree where it's just me singing the Mets song. Took it that, not my home really, because England's my home, but I know what you mean. I said, so you're Indian. No, I'm Persian. I come from a sort of Persian sort of area in India. We're called Parsis. India is a very, very ethnically diverse country. Like, one of my oldest, dearest friends is of Bengali descent, and she was born in India. Moved to the States when she was a child. Anyway. Oh, I see. So, what was Zanzibar like? I was rather small in those days, but it was beautiful. We were quite literally on the beach, as I remember where we lived. The white sandy beach, crystal blue ocean, absolute paradise. I'm gonna hold my tongue. A lot of happy days went there. Freddy's eyes sparkled as he reminisced. His features seemed to relax as gentle, coming from a man who had waved away at talk of his past with indifferent words like, "Oh, that's so mundane." Clearly, he didn't honestly feel that way. Well, y'all know my entire life story now. My parents owned Blackberries! I smiled, watching closely. This was a side of him I never witnessed, and I was enchanted. "Why'd you move?" I asked. There was the whole revolution. The government was overthrown, and things just got too dangerous for us to stay. So, LMAO, she had to make it more exotic. Well, I mean, I think this is actually accurate. I think. I don't know, and I'm too lazy to check. But I will check to see what the revolution was. On 10 December 1963, the protectorate that had existed over Zanzibar since 1890 was terminated by the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom did not grant Zanzibar independence as such because the UK had never had sovereignty. So you know what I mean, over Zanzibar. Rather, by the Zanzibar Act 1963, the United Kingdom, the UK ended the protectorate and made provision for full self-government in Zanzibar as an independent country within the Commonwealth. Upon the protectorate being abolished, Zanzibar became a constitutional monarchy with Commonwealth under the Sultan. However, just a month later, on 12 January 1964, Sultan Jamsin bin Abdullah was deposed during the Zanzibar Revolution. The Sultan fled into exile, and the Sultanate was replaced by the People's Republic of Zanzibar, a socialist government led by the Afro-Shirazi Party? Based! Based, man! That's... Damn! Damn! That... Wow! That... Damn. Yeah, I was reading the Wikipedia article, super dark. Anyway. Oh yeah, I have Firefox on my other monitor. Just so y'all don't see my, secret accounts. But yeah, I have Firefox open. Anyway, there was the whole revolution. The government is overthrown and things just got too dangerous for us to stay. Because, you know, your father he worked in the royal court, so of course he would have had a death sentence. And we weren't about to spend the rest of our lives in India, so we came to the UK. Best decision my parents ever made. I noticed he wasn't saying anything about the biggest chunk of his childhood. His days at that Panchgani boarding school which consumed about 10 years of his young life. I wondered why not, but to ask about it would give me away. What about you? He asked. Oh, right, you won't tell me. And I couldn't. That would be too vile a violation of the 3 commandments. Besides, telling Mr. Will traveled Zanzibari I was from Dallas, Texas, objectively the worst city in Texas. Your dead colonial office, nothing royal. Okay, yeah, fair. So I guess he wasn't a landlord or any shit like that. It seems so anticlimactic because, you know, Dallas fucking sucks. You wouldn't know where it was anyway, I lied. It's a tiny little place. You don't tell me anything, he grumbled. That's not true and you know it. Okay, fine. You won't tell me anything under your own steam. I'll have to pull it out of all you by force. Well, I'm just not sure if you'd be interested. Do you want me to just rattle on about myself? No, but my God, Eve, you haven't even told me your real name. You never asked. Freddie shook his head. A whole week this has gone on, and I still know nothing about you. No, that's not true either. I know a little. I know you prefer coffee over tea, and you have a most... Shut the fuck up about Richard Dreyfuss. We burst out laughing. I do not. I just like him. That's all. Yada, yada, yada. Whatever. I'm not going to be reading about... I'm not going to be reading any of Julia simping for this fuckface. The author's mindset on the immutability of someone is born page over wherever Freddy himself might have realized where he's from. Yeah. I'm going to... Yeah, whatever. I turned and meandered away from him, letting him think I was angry, but I honestly wasn't shocked to hear him suggest I was sexually frustrated. It's hard to get mad, really mad at the truth when you yourself accept it to be truth. And thanks to Freddy's conditioning over the past week, these words I once would have considered outrageous and have swallowed and conceded without much of a struggle. But regardless, what a catty thing to say. And how mortifying for a man I found much more appealing than... to be the one to say it to my face. For God's sake, Freddy, pick a personality and stick to it. This is exhausting. I walked along through the dry, tall grass. For the first time, I noticed the noise of a huge, invisible crowd of people. I couldn't see much beyond this huge, tranquil pond in front of me. The green grass near the water's edge looked cool and inviting. I sat down near the smooth, wet stones, breathing deeply, just to do it. Took off my shoes and set them down by my side. Freddy hastened with my bare foot. That's a work slack. I don't need to read it. Footsteps approached from behind. A shadow fell from across me a moment before Freddy, too, seated himself upon the ground. I greeted him with a nod. I kept staring out across the pond, listening to the murmur of the crowd. I'm sorry, he whispered. That was rude. I looked at him. What was the comment I made about me being sexually frustrated? Yes. That came out wrong. Came out wrong, I squinted. Is there a right way to talk about sexual frustration? That wasn't what I meant. I was referring to, not that necessarily I meant as far as I think is concerned, that includes the foreplay. I had a laugh. Foreplay? Kisses and whatnot? Freddy nodded sheepishly. Well, for your information, I'm not. Frustrated, that is. On instinct, Freddy let out a little sarcastic laugh before catching himself. I cocked my head. You don't believe me? Well, as a matter of fact, no. Why not? He exploded. Because, good Lord, Eve, sometimes I swear like you act. God just plucked you from his garden on high, planted you in my closet, and boom, there you are, a fresh-faced child, only hatched yesterday, as naive as they come. You're... I don't know how to take that. So, let's forget about it and move on. I stared at him. Suddenly I realized maybe I wasn't so nearly as sexually frustrated as the man sitting next to me. But you're Freddie Mercury. You can have anyone you want. What's the matter with you? He wants you! You fucking idiot! I felt back a smile. What does this also do with, let's do with the basics. I have to know, be honest. He interrupted me. I'm going to tell you about sex. Before all this happened, before you showed up in my closet, have you ever been kissed? Yeah, plenty of times. I'm talking lit. Freddie eyed me suspiciously. The absolute implications of that line. Yeah. Like, I had to, do a double take. Freddie eyed me suspiciously. I'm talking lips, not any other part of the face. Mutual mouth-on-mouth kiss. As, we call it. Again, yes. What's your point? How many times? I hesitated. Plenty. I have had exactly 666 kisses in my life. I wish as a childhood favorite celebrity was my pastor. Do you have a rough figure? I pretend to count my fingers, taking a nice long time and thinking it over. Then I replied in all honesty, 2. Freddie blinked. Twice? What a fucking prude. JK. Do whatever you're comfortable with, Babs. Yes, and they were distinctly underwhelming appearances. The second time it was New Year's and everybody was kissing everybody, so some random guy gave me a smooch and passing. The first time I trailed off and hung my head as I remembered. Let me guess. You had a boyfriend before, you thought it was true love, and he ended up leaving you, and that is why you were so snarky, because you thought you would never love again until you really, really started to fall in love with Freddy. That's what's going on here. What happened? Freddie laid his hand over mine, his eyes wide and curious. I lay back in the glass. Oh, it was lame, so lame. We were playing ping pong in this outdoor park, and I beat him, and he said, "Here's your reward." Freddie broke down laughing. Say no more. Oh god, that's just clumsy. Yeah, so I'm admittedly still fairly green on the subject, although you and Roger have done a lot to bring me up to speed, so thank you. Roger's a terrible kisser, by the way. Freddie lay back next to me. I'll take your word for it, dear. Revising my theory. Julia here had a crush on some boy. Didn't work out, and she thought she would never believe in love again. Until, this shit happened. And before you ask any more questions, yes, I'm a virgin. I'm not. Oh, I knew that much, believe me. What is going on over there? I exclaimed, standing back up. Come on, let's go see. I couldn't stand not knowing any longer. I scrambled to my feet, putting Freddy up along with me, and ran across the grass to the bridge about 50 feet away. Oh. The Dr. Pepper Music... What the fuck is the Dr. Pepper Music Festival? The musician of the night was being introduced, a fellow named John Sebastian, which reasonably excited the mellow crowd. He launched right into the music. What a day for a dream, what a day for a daydreamy boy. I don't know who the fuck that fucker is. I don't know why I've just started, just playing with this little screw thing. But it is what it is. I closed my eyes swinging to the music. Such a friendly, lazy little song. One of my mother's favorites, in fact. I never asked. For just a moment, with the warm breeze blowing through the evening, the stillness of the pond, even the ambient pandemonium of New York traffic, when I closed my eyes, I was home again. Give or take 4 decades. But even now, I was gradually coming to terms with it all. If I hadn't found the relic yet, then I never would. Still, what a gift it would have been to see my family. It all seemed so distant, so out of reach. My real life had become the dream, and my dream was now the real life. How fucking deep! It was a lonely feeling, in spite of the outside temperature. I shivered. So, yeah, I guess they kiss, they dance. Oh, hey, they're found. And they, go back to the play. Chapter 34, a sobering experience. This will be the last chapter that I'm retiring for the week to drink my sins away. Thankfully, the rest of our troop, namely Elton, Paul, and John Holmes, had only just begun to scour their side of the park. So we found them relatively soon, and I do mean relatively. Manhattan traffic had reached a nauseating level by this point in the evening. Had half of us walked and the other half ran to Central Park's north side, the riders would have only been beaten the walkers by maybe 10 minutes. But here they were, just the same, clustered together on the forked path in a heated argument about which direction they ought to go first. I'm tired. Well, Elton, ever the cool cucumber, was generally just standing back and watching. John and Paul were the ones really going at it. They were like yelling and shit. Elton those days wasn't all that unique in his physical appearance, and to the average Joe was only as recognizable as his costumes. As we came closer, I saw that he removed his cap and all important glasses. That was a fucking stupid thing to do, he remarked later. I couldn't bloody see the tip of my own nose, let alone you two runaways. So they came up as just some random guy who needed to see a barber sometime in the next week. The price of fame, I said to myself. They almost have to have secret identities just to be able to walk down the street without being whispered about or stayed at. I couldn't live like that for money. And that's why I want to be the niche micro celebrity, because you get the best of both worlds, and you meet the Mayats, step right out and greet the Mayats, bring your kiddies, bring your wife. For God's sake, Fred, do you want the world to know we're here or not? Elton chided. We are 2 steps away from calling the coppers. This chap here was about to absolutely flip. Weren't you, Paul? John laughed. Paul said nothing, but he didn't have to. The look in his eyes when they landed on me suggested he would not prefer to kill me much more slowly and painfully than with a simple, quick gunshot into the cranium. I would have gone with the gunshot. I have no issue with blood. Y'all know my favorite movie's Battle Royale, but like, come on, man, have some dignity. Use the gun. Anyway, stuff happens. They tease each other. So, yeah, they decide to fly. They're going to fly to Vegas. Wow. Oh my God. 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 They saw the Twin Towers! I leaned back and squinted up, following the steel walls rise up into the air. So high up, I couldn't see precisely where it ended. I had no idea they were that big. In the old photographs, the Twin Towers dominated everything around them. But it was when I came right up close to them that I truly realized their enormity. Thousands of people must have been in those buildings at that very moment, even as late as it was. I had fuzzy memories of that day, being only 4 years old at that time, which makes you about my age, you fucking piece of shit. But as young as I was conscious that something horrible had gone down, and the horrors of that September morning's attack all Americans now acknowledge as the day the earth turned inside out became a place of fear, and the ugliness of evil exhibited on full display. A lump formed in my throat. You have to insert 9/11 into your fantasy fanfiction. Why? You had to put 9/11 in it. Like, this was absolutely fucking unnecessary. But you had to. A lump formed in my throat. My God, all those people. There's so much evil in the world that, the U.S. ended up inadvertently funding because they thought, killing communist regimes was the best thing to do, even though, that wasn't. Oh, sweet Jesus, why? I came closer. With trembling hands, I touched the concrete wall in front of me. I shivered. Over 3,000 people. God. And they didn't know. But I did. The most helpless feeling enveloped me. I knew what was going to happen. Why couldn't I have gone back to September 11th to stop 9/11? There's like a whole genre of 9/11 fan fiction, and it fascinates the shit out of me. And there was I knew it was going to happen. I knew something that could save 3,000 plus people, and there was nothing I could do. Who would believe some drifter no-name girl with a crazy story about an airplane hijacking? And the stretch from the email going down like Jigablucks in 24 years. They hit the fucking Pentagon. Do you remember where you were on 9/11? I don't. I was like a year old at the time. You know, there are like legal adults who were born after 9/11. Think about that. Freddy's voice cautiously penetrated my vagina, I mean my mind. So yeah, this also reminds Eve that Freddy's gonna die. Could I tell him? Would he believe me? What on earth would make him believe me? I looked in his eyes to see that same open, gentle look. He wanted to know. He wanted to share the pain. Did I dare give him a chance? I see dead people, you know, like that one film with Haley Joel Osment. On 9/11, I was a small child baby who played in the kindergarten, had fun, and had a truly good time. And you're one of them. I had been fairly good at choking back tears around Freddy, as I didn't know he could handle me. I feared he would be impatient, perhaps unsympathetic. Besides, my face became so unpleasant when I cried. My nose reddened, my eyes puffed, my whole person just turned into a sniveling, splotchy mess, just like all people. And that was the last thing I wanted Freddy to have a look at. But this was the straw that broke my camel's back. I began to weep. He acted quickly. Freddy rubbed his arms around me and pulled me against his chest. I held him close and buried my face to his shoulder, making my tears making water spots on his choice. I shuddered and it said in a tight, emotional voice, "Oh yeah, she's gonna start writing the whole fixative arc where she could convince him to stop engaging in homophilia." I sure I said a tight, emotional voice. I'm sorry, I'm making them wait. Shh, he whispered. Let them. We're not moving from the stone until we've all weighed out. So yeah, he kisses her head. And tears of exhaustion, tears of pain, tears of anger, tears of helplessness, all the fraudulent moments of the past week. I poured them out while he held me. I was so powerless, so weak. Only 8, or was it 9? I had yet to figure out the adjustments for the time zone change. Jesus, I believe myself to be just a strong-willed wizard of the mind. Funny how life is like that. But he showed me otherwise. Anyway, they, cried and shit. They sing. And, they do the thing. So, yeah, I guess that's it. Thank y'all for watching, I guess. Bye-bye. I love y'all. Mwah. Mikazuki no シャレに星のピアス外してどうし